Hi. I want to talk a bit about our diets and the way that they can either support a functional energetic awakening or if how they may inhibit um, a functional awakening and perhaps even fuel body symptoms. So, for those that understand what it is to go through an energetic spiritual awakening, you know that you're dealing with high powered energy that is moving through the body's energy pathways to create a clearing so that old energy can discharge out of the system, and that way that new divine energy can flow in, and so that you can be more embodied in your divine spiritual nature instead of living from the consciousness of the old energy. You are living with more presence and heart guided wisdom. So diet, why would our diet have any effect on our spiritual awakening? Well, it has everything to do with that. This is just my way of seeing things and understanding things through my own embodied journey through the spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening. And I know that this can be very triggering for people because when we talk about food, we're really not just talking to a person, but we're talking to their internal ecosystem, the microbiome within a being. And the microbiome it lives on the skin as well as in the small intestine, and also can inhabit other areas of the body if there comes to be overgrowth of this microbiome. So microbiome is made up of viruses and bacteria and fungus, just these micro species that are not human. And actually, in the nucleus of your human cells, you have up to 2,000 mitochondria, which are also non-human bacteria. So they're non-human, they have non-human DNA, they have a separate genetic makeup than your actual human cell. And they fuel the cell, and they're really connected to these other microorganisms. So I hope I'm not losing you here. The microbiome outnumbers human cells like 10 to 1. So a lot of our consciousness comes from these microbiome, these microorganisms, because they are conscious beings. They know what they like. They know what feeds them, what fuels them, what they need to thrive. And so they are going to send signals through your body's senses, such as a craving for something, for wanting to be in a certain type of environment, or for wanting to eat a certain type of food that is going to nourish them. And so there's science that actually proves that 95% of what humans do is unconscious. And I see that the microbiome are interfacing and interplaying with this realm of consciousness in humanity right now. But when people can get embodied, when they can start to have more self-awareness through embodiment, then you can start to work directly with those push-pull energies that the microbiome may be bringing into your energy field of consciousness. So if you know that there are foods that you eat that aren't very good for you, they make you feel bad, but you still eat them even though you want to feel good, that's the microbiome that is creating that push-pull energy in your field to pull in something that's not good for you or to push something away that may be good for you. And so what I find is vital to spiritual awakening, it's like the most functional piece is our diet. So what we put in and how we create our internal ecosystem. Are we feeding it foods that are going to increase inflammation and promote a thriving environment in these unhealthy systems of the microbiome? Or are we going to, and also is there going to be, are we eating the same foods that are going to then just create rigidity in the microbiome, meaning it's not going to be diversified, because we really want diversification in our gut microbiome. Really, the more diverse, the more flexible you're going to be energetically, because just like there are good genes and there are bad genes that we can turn on and off, there's healthy bacteria and there's unhealthy bacteria or viruses or all these other biomes that we can either activate or deactivate. And I have a fascinating story for you. So I guess it was in 2017, I stopped eating sugar. I went on this low carb, high fat diet, like a ketogenic style diet and lifestyle. And I was on that, and actually I got the healthiest I've ever been. I felt amazing. My depression significantly went down. My inflammation in my body, I used to get regular knee pain as I would run, and I had no knee pain for all that time. And anyways, a lot of inflammation went down in my system. I felt really good. And I lost a lot of weight. So fast forward a year later, I went to this amazing Vietnamese restaurant that I used to eat at pre this new lifestyle that I engaged in. And I had rice noodles, and it was like this rice noodle salad bowl. Well, I was eating the carbs in a way that I hadn't eaten in a long time. That was one thing. But then another thing was that 2 hours after my meal, I had knee pain. And then I started to think, I wonder if there was sugar in that meal. And I come to find out, there was sugar in the sauce. So that sugar immediately sent a stress response into my internal system. So my body started to create inflammation. Then that night, I had a dream about chocolate cake. It was like this decadent chocolate cake. And I was never even a big fan of cake before this new lifestyle. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. When I woke up, it was like so visual. Like, and my dreams aren't usually that vivid, but this was super vivid and visual. And it was like, I could smell it, I could taste it. All of the senses were activated. Then I was driving to my former yoga studio that I used to own and teach at regularly, and I was going to teach 6:15 a.m. class. And as I'm driving, I passed like a Coca-Cola truck, and I swear I could smell it, I could feel it, I could hear the sizzling when you open and the can opening, like all my senses were activated, engaged. And I stopped drinking soda 20 years prior to this experience because I had gone to the dentist and I had a lot of cavities, and they're like, it's your soda intake. So I just stopped it because I was so ashamed. I felt so ashamed of having a cavity, and I had like 5 of them or 6. Anyway, so I hadn't had Coke in that long or any soda, but it was so real and vivid. And it was like that microbiome woke up in me and it started sending me signals. It was like, those are like little cravings. Like it was like this push, this pull energy to have this experience of hearing and smelling and tasting and feeling the soda. And then the same thing with the chocolate cake. So, I mean, at that time I was already immersed in this realm of biohacking and had already been hearing specialists talk about the microbiome, but it really became more clear to me. I was like, wow, this is fascinating. Like, these little bugs are really informing our decisions and our choices, and we're not really engaging in free will with when we allow them to push and pull us all around the place. So that sugar bug started to wake up. It was in a dormant state, but it started to reawaken, and it wanted to be fed. But luckily, I stayed in my power, my personal power, my soul power, and my really commitment to health and to well-being and to supporting my awakening in functional ways and staying aligned with the divine. So I didn't engage anymore, and I just completely shut it off, and I didn't have any more cravings after that. I just brought awareness, and I kind of laughed at it. I was like, this is so fascinating. You know, I love to witness life as like a science experiment. Like, I'm just witnessing it as like an observer of this science project. Like, wow, this is really fascinating. But so I just wanted to share that because people don't think about these things. They think that, oh no, I don't, sugar doesn't do anything to me, or gluten is a big one. Gluten doesn't do anything to me, or actually, my body needs gluten. Well, if you were to look at what's happening on an energetic level with gluten, gluten is highly toxic. And there is no body, no physical body on the planet that is going to actually benefit from gluten, especially gluten made in the US. It's loaded full of glyphosate. Glyphosate is a toxic chemical that kills organisms. So it's really killing off your bacteria, your healthy biome. There's science that shows that it eats away the gut lining, which is your protective layer and where your big defense system lives, your immune system. So people with autoimmune disease especially should not be eating gluten. If you don't want an autoimmune disease, you should not be eating gluten. What happens with autoimmunity is that the immune system is attacking the living cells, the tissues of the body. And because they think that they're bad, right? And so it's just like a delusional programming that's happening. Part of that is because of what's going into the body. It's continuing to create such a heightened stress response that the immune system doesn't know what to do. And if you think about it, if gluten is eating away the gut lining, then it's like the immune cells right away are being attacked. So then they're going to start to attack back. And that's the battleground, the fascia of what's being deteriorated there. So anyways, it's just so fascinating to think about. And I'm really passionate about this. I haven't talked a lot about our diet and how that affects us, but there's so much more to say. For instance, in your gut is where your thousands, millions of nerve cells live that are connected to your regulatory intelligence of the body. Your regulatory pathway runs from your gut to your heart, through the neck, the vagus, up into the face and the head. So really energetically, spiritually, that is your central channel. And we want a lot of integrity in this channel. We want there to be a lot of joy embodied in this channel, and clarity there in the channel. And so if we are eating foods that are creating and fueling inflammation and maybe a war zone in that channel, can you see how that is going to affect you spiritually and energetically? Yeah, can really see that. Can really feel that. Whew, I'm just going to ask for a clearing of that energy. Yeah, so I feel like part of me wants to be this activist for the human cells, because the human cells are in a free state of being. They have been forgotten. And it's like the microbiome, the system. Sometimes I think, how can these people be alive still when their tissues are so frozen that their cells aren't able to receive oxygen? Even though we know that 1 of 2 Americans have mitochondrial dysfunction, that means that their cells are not functioning at the level that they're meant to for health and well-being. And what I have discovered is that I realize it's the microbiome. It's the microbiome that is keeping the body functioning, because it has consciousness that wants to live, that wants to thrive, that wants to survive. So it is actually running the programming, and we can see that these unhealthy colonies are taking over. If you have issues sleeping, if you have issues going to the bathroom and having healthy bowel movements, if you have autoimmune disease, if you have mental disorders, if you have anxiety disorder, depression, if you have really any chronic disease or chronic inflammation, that is going to go directly back to the source of the gut health. Because that's where the regulatory intelligence is. So all of those things are inhibiting the regulatory intelligence and coming online and doing its job, its magic, expressing its divine embodiment in nature. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about these things. Probably it's going to trigger a lot of people, and it's not triggering their souls per se. It's triggering the microbiome. So a lot of things that happen in our consciousness, it's like the more we cannot identify with that, not me, not mine. In Buddha Dharma, that is anatta, the practice of non-identification. And the more we can practice that and bringing in that new perspective, awareness of this isn't me, this isn't mine, the more we can unhook and we can become more sovereign and have more choices. So if your microbiome is pushing and pulling right now, wanting to push this away, maybe you've even stopped listening already, or it's wanting to pull in a different experience, like, oh, I really want that baguette bread now. I'm just going to forget this and I just want that. Just recognize it. Be fascinated by the realm of consciousness on the planet and in your system. And don't identify with it, but just say, oh, wow, this is really fascinating. And maybe I can do a little experiment for a couple months or a few months to see how implementing new ways of lifestyle can support me in my health, my well-being, my awakening of divine embodiment. So that's all I have to say for now. You can leave comments there. If you have negative comments, I probably won't read them because I just don't need that in my field. If this talk doesn't resonate with you and you don't like it, that's fine. This is just my way of looking, and it's always nice to look at where we get triggered, me, myself included, so that I can kind of deconstruct that a little bit more, because there's a form of self-identification wrapped in that, and that is when we self-identify with things so much, it actually fuels our dukkha, our suffering. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for listening, and blessings to you in your divine awakening.